Can you stand the rain? I just had to get that in real quick before Ann starts singing and then Ralph start laughing.
I never laugh.
Oh,
This guy's a
man.
liar. Now we got to pray. We got to pray for this guy.
Yo, we just gotta scrap the study and just make it a prayer meeting, dog.
Prayer meeting.
Word up.
A rebuke session.
A rebuke,
We
dog.
could do that one day. That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, sounds good.
How would that
Not
translate?
for an hour and a half, but maybe a little 20-minute prayer. Each of us taking turns praying for people.
Yeah,
That's
I
a good
mean,
idea.
Make it maybe when we go live, if we ever get to go live. I hope we never get to go live. I hope we gone by then. Rapture ready, rapture ready, rapture ready, rapture ready.
What up, what up? Welcome to the Knowing Podcast. Yo, Angelo.
That Red Bull went down the wrong pipe.
He been coughing for 5 minutes, big.
And like 3 episodes ago, you was promoting them heavy.
No.
Now they down your throat. Trying to take you out.
Oh man.
Oh, man.
What's up, y'all? How's everybody doing, man?
We hanging in there. We hanging in.
I'm blessed.
I'm blessed.
I'm blessed.
It's a nice little sleepy day today.
Yeah. Can you?
I wish we could.
What other rain
I wish we
songs
could
we
sleep
got?
though.
Nights like
There's no
this,
breaks, man. No
I
breaks.
wish
What song was that?
that raindrops would fall. Don't worry
5
about it.
heartbeats.
Don't worry about it.
Nah.
Yo, you're a young buck. You're a young buck. You don't know about that. You don't
This
know
guy
about
might know
that.
all the old school
'Cause that's
jazz.
That's what I
and-
listen to, B. What you want me to listen to?
That's the
Blah,
5
blah, da, 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 da.
heartbeats.
I can't even imitate the new stuff now,
Yeah,
because
I
I
don't-
just
I don't-
don't listen to it like that. Yeah.
Yo, anybody got anything?
Yo, so I got a question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, right? You see how the scriptures was like, yo, B. I think you mentioned it last week, where the scriptures where you was like, the Lord will take you out. Like, let's say you saved, but you out here, you wilding. Because I was thinking about, let's say the prodigal son, right? Let's say the prodigal son never came back to the father. And he just went out there, he just continued to wild out, wild out, wild out. The Lord would take him out. You understand?
Like kill him, you mean?
Yeah. Like, you see how the scriptures was like,
I 100% agree with that.
yeah.
And-
But do you would still think he's saved, though?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd use prodigal son for that, though.
Why?
Because there's scriptures in Corinthians that speaks about that.
Yeah,
That
no,
people that's obviously useless, right?
Yeah.
Where their lives is not
Not
being
fruitful.
used, right?
Not
Your life is
fruitful.
not few.
Right.
So we're not talking about salvation,
Nah.
Right.
Right.
Not talking
right?
about
We're
salvation.
talking about sanctification. We're talking about
right.
how you're supposed to interact with the body of Christ.
Yeah.
And I can't remember where in Corinthians where it speaks about.
No, that's why I said it, because of the scripture in Corinthians.
Yeah, but like, yo, dog, you just here taking those. Yo, come home.
Right.
Right.
And because you're causing more harm than good.
Right,
That might be the
but some
situation.
people might think that person ain't saved. That's what I was thinking.
Nah,
you understand?
nah.
So that's why I was like, so that's why I said, let's think of the prodigal son. He was the father. He was the son's father. He was the son to the father, right?
Yeah.
But he was the son that went out there and just, his life was the worst. He was fruitless. He didn't do nothing. But, we know the story that he came back. But I'm saying, what if he never came back? And he just went out there, he just continued to just be fruitless. And the Lord takes you out. He would still be son to the father, but you just never came back. You just lived a fruitless life, and the Lord takes you out.
Let me hear Angelo.
No, that's what I'm saying. I was like, what's the difference between two Christians, one that spends time with God and and bears fruit, and then one who's a Christian, believes in God but just doesn't? You know, and I feel like that's what you're describing, and this is what I think John 15. Is it 15? What we talking
Right.
about?
The
Talks
abide.
about.
Yeah.
That's why I was going so hard about the Lord will take them who aren't abiding and get rid of them.
Except that part.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I forgot about it. Yo, I don't want to rehash
You
that.
see?
All right, let me
That's
leave that
what I'm
alone. All right,
saying.
yeah,
So
let's
as
keep on
soon
moving.
as you said
No,
that, I was
what
like,
chapter
look, the
we
Lord
on?
is finally revealing to y'all that I was right, because this is what I was saying. Because the Christians that don't abide, some of them God gets rid of.
No. Yeah. But I mean, I really believe that there is something as carnal Christians.
I don't know.
Yeah, the thing is that I remember the last time when we had the conversation.
I'll give an example of, let's say, somebody like
Lot.
DMX.
Oh,
No,
okay.
somebody like DMX.
Right.
That a lot of people who believe that he was saved.
Yeah, that's
he professed his faith, all of that, but you struggled. You struggled a lot, and then now we see that God takes you home.
But
Lot.
Yeah.
That's a picture. DMX, I think, is a picture of Lot.
You said a picture of Lot?
Lot, yeah.
But what's the definition of carnal? Carnal is constant enmity, being at war with God. You see, these are Christians that are struggling in sin, but they know that it's sin. They're not disagreeing with God. I feel like carnality is, when you look at the definition, it's constant enmity at war with God. I think as a Christian, you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I get what you're saying. Like I think that we just throw that term to give it like a meaning. Because when you go through Corinthians, that's exactly what it was. Right. See, a lot of times people confuse what's written in Romans with Corinthians. You know what I'm saying? The Romans, when it starts explaining, like we eventually will get to it. In Romans, that's person that's not saved. In Corinthians, Paul opens the letter like, yo, to you, I'm gonna present you as a blameless bride. Then he goes in and say, yo, you sleeping with your pops shorty. You know what I'm saying? You getting drunk at the community table. You're doing all this, but I'm presenting you as a blameless bride. Fix these things. Right. But they were living reckless.
But those were young. Were those not young believers who needed to be discipled, who needed to be taught the way to live correctly?
But think about it. There's a lot of people that remain in that milk stage, right? When they should have been teaching.
I think the majority of Christians are in that stage. But is it their fault that they haven't been discipled?
Well, that's the thing. A lot of people are not discipled. I was talking to
Steve recently, and we were like, yo, we were so blessed that we came from the church that we came from because we were discipled correctly.
Can you use that excuse, though?
No, it's never an excuse. But what I'm saying is, as a Christian, don't you get judged by God by the amount of knowledge that you have? You know what I mean? So if you don't know that what you're doing is something that doesn't make God happy, like, you know what I mean? Can you be technically judged on it?
Yeah. Well, here's how I see it.
One quick thing. What do you mean by judged?
I mean, not necessarily thrown into the pits of hell, but like, is God gonna isn't it like pastors, they get judged more harshly because of their position, because of who they are compared to people who aren't?
You see, the thing is that now we're going into the rewards, right? Because our judgment is at the bema seat because our sin's already been judged. So your failures is not going up there. It's just going to be, wood, hair, and stubble. Because there's 5 crowns that, there's actually 5 crowns that we can receive. Right. You know what I'm saying? Specifically. So these are the rewards that you're going to receive. But the thing is that if you don't meet to these standards, you're just not going to get the 5 crowns. You're gonna be like smoke coming off. You know what I'm saying? But you're in the kingdom without rewards. Right. But you're saved.
What you gonna say, Marcus?
Yeah.
You forgot.
Sorry.
That's all right. All right. That's
no. But listen, there's again, there's no way we could determine
who's saved or not.
Who's saved or not. Mm-hmm. That's I think that's clear. We could look at a person's fruits and try to make a, educational guess. Right. Mm-hmm. Like, I would vouch for the people in this room because I know you guys personally and I'm with you all the time. Mm-hmm. Right. So I'll put the house on it. These guys are saved. Somebody that I don't know that profess it. Well, I'll take your word for it. Right. Mm-hmm. But that's not my problem. That's not my responsibility, right? I have a responsibility, a moral obligation to love my neighbor, right, and preach the word. You do have, Paul talks about it when he writes the letters, and he's writing to the churches, and he's telling them to walk in the Spirit. So if you're not walking in the Spirit, you're probably walking in the flesh. So there is 2 sides. Right. You do have Christians that are obviously receive salvation, receive that birth, that new birth, but they're walking in the flesh, right? And I believe that, like that example in Corinthians, right? If you're not being used, if you're unable to be used by God in any way, and you're more of a hindrance to the kingdom of God, I mean, kind of like anything, God might be like, all right, come home. And I think there's an example of that in the epistles to the Corinthians, right? But yeah, the whole life of a Christian is to, that growing, being conformed to the image of Christ, right? yielding to the Holy Spirit, walking in the Spirit. So, your life is supposed to glorify God. Your speech is supposed to glorify God. Your actions are supposed to glorify God. That's the journey. And you have some people that are in the baby stage, that are stuck there, that are, still sucking on the bottle. And Paul, he encourages Christians like, you should be on the ribeye, medium well steak, right? Dealing with heavy spiritual things. There's which epistle where he's like, don't you know you guys are arguing and suing each other. You guys are going to be judging angels, right? Kind of giving them the picture of who you are as a son, as a co-heir, your future responsibilities. And he's like, dog, why are you guys still stuck on this? And I think, kind of like what Ann said, obviously it's a complex situation because now you got to look at the church, you got to look at all of these things. But at the end of it, everybody's responsible for their, right? Where it says,
work out your salvation.
Work out your salvation.
Trembling.
Dog, you're still responsible. It's a personal relationship between you and God. What are you doing? You're not going to get up there and be like, oh, my pastor, he didn't have this ministry. And man, get out of here.
Oh, my mom's did this, and that's why I never went to church.
So
because I seen this happen and that happen.
This is the most best-selling book ever. It's in every language.
Word.
It's you could download it, app. Yeah. It has commentaries. You had people that were inspired by God to go into this. Dog, there's so many resources out there for you to grow in the truth of God that you really have no excuse.
No, really.
You understand what I'm saying? It's just that you probably wanted to walk in the flesh.
Yeah, and I say that just because of the scripture, Like
I don't know if I would use
why wouldn't you
the
use that
parable though.
Why?
Because you can't.
Because it's
doctrine
not. Yeah, it's.
What do you mean
that parable? I think that parable is revealing the heart of the Father.
Yeah,
but it also reveals the will of the Son.
I understand what you're saying, but I don't know if I could throw a salvation theology into it. You understand?
No, I didn't put a salvation theology into it.
Like if he didn't go back with, I don't think it was just about him being saved or not. I think it's trying to show you an aspect of God's, the Father's heart.
Yeah, no, I understand that. The only reason I use that is because of the relation. It never stopped being his son. You understand what I'm saying? That's the only reason I used that. I didn't use it to try to.
So then, if he didn't go back, you're saying that.
That's why I'm saying that you have people that are saved, but they prodigals. They go out there.
So how about the other son?
What do you mean? How about him?
The older brother.
He stayed home and he did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah, but his heart was revealed. So was he saved? You know what I'm saying?
What do you mean? Was he saved? Why wasn't he saved?
Because of his heart was revealed. Of
what was his heart? What was his heart?
His heart was greed, hate against his brother.
Right. So, but that's what I'm saying. Just because you have those things, that don't mean he wasn't saved.
The reason I'm saying that is because it's heart.
I mean, we're revealing the hearts. Like I said, that wasn't a salvation thing.
No, that's why it's hard for me to even throw the idea of salvation into that story. Because then there's so many.
I never did. That's what I'm saying. I never did. I'm just saying that I used it because as far as relation, they both were still his. That would never change.
Yeah, that relationship is.
You understand what I'm saying?
Annulled.
They were always gonna be saved because they were the sons of the Father.
Right.
You know, so just like how we get adopted and we're sons and daughters of the Most High God, that's never, our position never changed. You understand? And that's the only reason I used it. That's it.
So are you saying they both were saved in that parable? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they were sons.
They were sons of the Father.
I see what you guys are saying.
I mean, the entire parable is about Jesus and us,
right?
And coming back if we stray. Isn't that what that
was
parable
is
about?
The main purpose of the parable was to show that
the heart of God.
The heart of God, but also
for his children.
Right. But the heart of God for his children, but also it revealed the sons too. Like how you said. There was one son.
Now it revealed one son that realized the goodness of the Father, right? But the other son that was always there, who would represent the Pharisees in their heart, are you saying they were
I don't think he represented the Pharisees.
Why would he represent the Pharisees?
I mean, he did because he kept the laws.
Yeah,
because he was like the law-abiding ones.
Nah.
Yeah.
No. Break it down. Break it down.
He was the one that says, "Yo, I stayed here. I did everything that you wanted to a T."
Right.
Right. Why is this guy getting all of this?
Okay.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So he represented, I'm the one that followed the law, but his heart was revealed in what he felt against his brother. That's the point of the parable.
Dad tell him at the end that all of this is yours anyway?
Right.
So it's his, meaning he's a son.
Yeah. So why
it doesn't mean he's not. He's in the family.
No,
he's not.
But
he may have been acting pharisaical or legalistic.
Right. I understand what you're saying.
I
understand
why. That's why I'm saying it's hard if you try to.
All right. Forget it.
If you're trying to use it to
I see where you're going.
Add salvation in there, it gets tricky.
I see where you're going. I'm not gonna. I see where you're at, and just eliminate that. Eliminate that. I said. I just see where you're at. You understand? Because I know why I used it. I think I know Ralph know why I used it, but I think you're going.
Then you have to go into it.
All right. Forget it.
Because if you use it for one son, you have to use it for the other son.
All right. Well,
but then he represented.
But that's what I'm saying. So let's say a situation was you're saved. You and your brother, you're saved. This is both the fathers. But again, that whole situation with the son where one is a prodigal, he goes out, he wasteful living, he comes back. And the way the father, like Angelo was saying, the way the father dealt with him was, and I'm just talking about as far as that story, the way the father dealt with him was like, dog, this is all yours. You don't have to feel that towards your brother. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So, and I understand why it was brought out to represent the Pharisees and all of that. But if you look at the story itself, dog, he's part of the family. And he's just looking at him like your dog. You don't have to look at the brother like that because you have those situations where you have two kids that are saved. You have one that goes out and wilds out. The other one that's like your dog. I've been here. I've been doing everything. That don't mean he's not saved.
Yeah, but isn't that the story? The Pharisees.
No,
the Lord was like, "Yo,
and that's
you was here the whole time."
And that's why I said, forget
why are
it.
you jealous against?
And that's why I said, forget it, because I see where you're going. All right, so just keep going. No. I see where you're going.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see.
So then, that's an argument to say. Then the Pharisees are good.
I see what you're going. I see where you're going. It's all right. It's all right.
I don't see that.
No, forget it.
So you're saying that the prodigal son was the Gentiles?
You got listen.
No, I'm saying that story has nothing to do with salvation. If you stick salvation in there, it gets muddy.
All right, forget it. So let's go to Genesis chapter. Yo, I already see where I don't want to go. I don't want to go there.
Bro, do you understand what I'm saying?
No, yeah.
Yo, listen, I don't want to go there because I know how he thinks and I know how he thinks. Let's go to where we at? Chapter 29.
It gets muddy.
Where we at? Chapter 29.
I don't see no mud. I think it's obvious.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yo, put that one on me.
29. Let's go.
Yo, like Rebecca said, put that one on me.
Yeah, man. I'm like, fam, you can't just stop where you want to stop. The story's going to keep moving.
Listen, it's all right. I know Ralph understands exactly what I said. And that's all I did. Because me and Ralph always understand.
Ralph is Switzerland, all right?
Nah. No, you know what it is? Ralph, his mind is broad. He's not.
I'm not narrow-minded?
Yeah, he's not narrow.
That's scary.
No. I'm talking about as far as when we, because you gotta understand, he's Mr. Deep End.
I have questions.
Yeah.
No, you Mr. Deep End.
Right. Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So I did you.
Yeah.
I did a you. That's why I'm like, I know Ralph is gonna get it. These two guys who are.
No, dog. I'm gonna have questions.
I agree with you. What are you talking about?
No, I'm not.
Forget
I agree
it,
with you,
brother.
Forget it.
No,
I see your point of view.
I'm gonna have questions.
All right, you right. Yo, Genesis.
And I'm gonna ask the question.
All right, so let's go to Genesis, though.
And I'm gonna want some answers.
All right, go to Genesis, though.
It gotta make sense.
I did a Ralph. When Ralph do it, it works, but
no, I explained to you why it doesn't work.
Yo, Ralph. No, and I agree.
Because you're integrating
like I said,
the salvation theology into a story that has nothing to do with it.
I agree. That's what I said. Well, Ralph, I don't know how you get away with it, but I'm never going to do it. Ralph, I will never. That is your zone. That is your lane. And you know what I'm saying? I respect it now. Because that ain't easy.
You're out. Tell this guy, please, and stop your laughing and tell this guy his comparison was that was off the deep end. This was off the deep end.
I don't think it was off the deep end.
All right, man.
Let me hear Ange. Let me hear Ange.
Nah, let's leave it be. Let's go on.
You started this.
Ding, 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 ding.
No, let me hear Ange.
I just don't. when you say it doesn't have anything to do with salvation, I'm like, I mean, technically it doesn't, because it's assumed that they're already sons of the King. In my mind, they're already saved, and the picture of the story is that a Christian will sometimes stray and sometimes backslide and go into the world and do things that is against the Father's will, and then realize, you know, who his Father is and who he is, and come back. So I see that as somebody that's already saved. You know, like I see a Christian, I see that parable as a Christian to tell Christians, you know what, some of us might be in places that we shouldn't be, but who is our dad and who are we? We can always come back to him. Okay. And that's how I see it. And I see the brother, you know, being somebody who was legalistic, you know, who didn't have the love of his father for his brother. And we see that in church all the time. You know, how different Christians, like denominations, are constantly fighting with each other because they don't think that they're living correctly. When, bro, we're the same, with the children of the same King. You know, love me, let me love you. I don't know. That's
the way I wanted to explain it, but it didn't come out like that. And I'm never gonna do Ralph again. And I'm done. Let's go to Genesis, please.
All right, let's go to Genesis 30.
Yeah, yo, Ange, that was good though.
29 or 30?
29.
All right, we're Genesis 29. So, where we left off? Jacob was.
No, you had Jacob Jacob at the vow of Bethel, when he meets God, and Jacob ladder, and he builds the pillar. He puts the oil on top of the rock, and you know we agreed that this was his first like real encounter with God, and God blesses him, tells him not to fear, you know, reiterates the blessing to him, the same blessing that his father had given him, and that was been passed down.
So now Jacob is primarily on the run, secondarily going to find a wife, right? Taking this opportunity as his father blessed him. I think, Ralph, you mentioned like that was a 500-mile journey.
Yeah.
And so this guy, you get this picture of darkness, loneliness, right? He finally needs to rest, and his pillow is a rock. Like hard, you know, just gray, dark, gloomy.
Rock in a hard place, like Ralph said. Yeah.
Rock in a hard place, right? And you're a fugitive. And then he encounters God, right? So now this thing is revealed to him, right? God opens up the physical realm into the spiritual realm, and he sees God, and he hears God, and he's seeing the activities of God, right? The activities between the spiritual realm and the natural realm happening. So now he got this new sensitivity of the spirit, right? And he's going to be changed now. Now the focus of his journey just changed, because now he's sensitive to this God, because he had a personal meet with him, right? But obviously he's still young in his faith. He's still immature in his faith, and we see him still being who he is.
You said the focus of his journey changed?
Yeah.
Why would you say that?
Because now God says, I'm going to be with you. So now, you know, God tell them all these things, right? And I'm going to get you back over here.
So you didn't think he didn't believe it when Isaac had told him everything?
Not the way he believed it now.
Yeah. But I'm saying, like, you don't think it was a confirmation? God was like confirming everything that his father. Maybe he didn't believe it, but it was just a confirmation that.
No. I think he believed. I think that something happens when you have a personal encounter with God.
No, I agree.
And it's just all right. Now is the time, and we kind of see it with all the patriarchs. Yeah. Like, now is the time I'm gonna start dealing with you.
Right.
Within time, and now it becomes personal. Right. Where before it was, this is my dad, the God of my father. Now it's almost like this is my God, because now it's me. Like, I've experienced something. So I think, he believed it. Right. He was moving off of that. We saw his life. His life showed that, because in his own strength he was trying to do these things.
Right.
But now the Lord is kind of like, all right, you the man. I'm gonna start dealing with you now. All right. So I think anybody that's gonna have an effect on how you and a sense. You're gonna develop a new sensitivity to the spirit.
I agree.
No, I do agree. Like that's a good point about like now he's personalized it because you remember when he bought the food, the goat to Isaac when he was blind. He said, yo, how'd you get it so quick? He said, oh, because the Lord, your God. You know what I'm saying? You know, it specifically says that. Like if you see it in previous chapter verse 20. He says, but Isaac said to his son, how is it that you have found it so quickly, my son? And he said, because the Lord, your God, brought it to me.
That's a good point.
So you see, it was a total disconnect.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It was all about, oh, it's your God, your God. This is your calling. You know, you got to do this, you got to do this. Yeah. But now, all of a sudden, with this interaction, now he's like, okay, now God is dealing with me. So now he'd become a personal walk.
Okay.
All right. So let's go from 29. Let's go from 1 to 8.
So Jacob went on his journey and came to the land of the people of the east. And he looked and saw a well in the field. And behold, there were 3 flocks of sheep lying by it. For out of that well they watered the flocks. A large stone was on the well's mouth. Now all the flocks would be gathered there, and they would roll the stone from the well's mouth, water the sheep, and put the stone back in its place on the well's mouth. And Jacob said to them, my brethren, where are you from? And they said, we are from Haran. Then he said to them, do you know Laban, the son of Nahor? And they said, we know him. So he said to them, is he well? And they said, he is well. And look, his daughter Rachel is coming with the sheep. Then he said, look, it is still high day. It is not time for the cattle to be gathered together. Water the sheep and go feed them. But they said, we cannot until all the flocks are gathered together, and they have rolled a stone from the well's mouth. Then we water the sheep.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you guys think?
I mean, again, we're seeing just, I guess the place, a well, again. We're seeing that keeps reoccurring. You know, he finally came and he sees these men, he sees the flocks, and there's a dilemma, you know, like he's asking why the flocks is not being watered, and they're saying that, you know, they have to roll the stone away from the well. Did they put the stone on the well? What was the reason for that? For evaporation? Because I guess it was hot.
Yeah, I think it's to prevent. It's not like it was a big well, like maybe a big mouth. So to prevent people, animals from falling in there, contaminating the water. Okay. And I think it was exclusive to a certain group of people.
Okay.
So,
so
not everybody could use it. It was for a certain group. So they, protection.
Okay. Because I'm wondering, so they were waiting for somebody to move the rock because they couldn't.
So they're like, they're like, it's a specific time. We wait till everybody come, and then we move the rock. Because Jacob, right, it seems like he's trying to figure out where you guys from, right? So when he asked them, they was like, we're from Haran. So he was like, oh, this is where I need to be. And then he asked them, do you know Laban? And they're like, yeah, how's he doing? Good. And he's like, what's up? Why y'all just sitting here doing nothing? Why don't you, feed water the animals?
Yeah, because he was a shepherd. He understood that. He understood. He had a heart for that. So, like, I guess that was, that was right up his alley. Where he started the conversation off with that.
So let me ask you: do you think that because when he mentions here, then he said, "Do you know Laban, the son of Nahor?" And they said, "We know him." So he said to them, "Is he well?" And then they said, "Oh, he is well." And look, his daughter Rachel is coming with the sheep. By any chance, do you think? Because immediately right after he said, "Look, it's still high day. It's not time for the cattle to be gathered together. Water the sheep and get out of here."
What
he said, water the sheep and get out of here. Like, I do understand what you're saying. Like, I think he does understand in terms of like, you wanna feed the sheep and then water them later in the day. You fatten them up and then we understand that. But I'm thinking like, here comes Rachel And he peeps her.
And she's smoking.
She's smoking. And he's like, yo, guys, why don't you get out of here?
He wants some alone time with them.
Right.
What do you think?
No, he wanted to get alone time with her.
Okay.
And they're just sitting there lazy, like, nah, dog, this is how we do this. We wait till everybody come.
Right, Rachel, his daughter, right, because he knew that was the uncle he was supposed to go see. Here comes the daughter, right.
So this scenario, what does it remind you of?
His mom. And how that happened.
His
mom. With Isaac and Rebecca.
Now, the same setup, and we're going to see the differences in the setup.
Yeah.
The same, we're dealing with a well.
Right.
We're dealing with, getting a spouse.
Right.
Right? And there's these contrasts between those two stories and how the servant moved and how this guy, Jacob, is moving. But I agree with you. He was trying to get these guys out of here.
Right.
Instead of you guys just standing there lollygagging. But these guys are like, nah, this is how we do it, man.
Right.
Once everybody come, then we lift the rock and blah, blah, blah.
No, that's a great point that you said with the whole connection with Isaac and Rebecca. Because that she must have told him the story, or they might have discussed it while he was a kid. He's like, yeah, Eliezer came and picked me up. And, and I saw your father.
And the Bentley.
He
came with 10 Bentleys.
He came with 10 Bentleys.
So now let's
know what I'm saying?
Let's flesh that out. How did Isaac send Jacob out? With nothing.
Right.
Clothes on his back, slipper, and the oil.
The servant came with the 10 Bentleys, right? The camels.
Yeah.
And gold and riches.
And that's why I think, like I said last time, that the way the Lord revealed himself to Jacob, because Jacob had nothing. Like Abraham had, you understand what I'm saying? Like with Abraham had a wife. Isaac, you had, your father had servants, did it that way, sent out. But dog, you going on this mission and you didn't have nothing.
No, but why didn't Isaac send them with stuff?
What do you mean, why didn't Isaac send them with?
That's a good question.
Why didn't Isaac send them away?
Because he was on the run. Remember, the whole reason that he got
Isaac
sent.
didn't know he was on the
run. Isaac
sent
sent him away.
For a wife.
He blessed them, and he said, go, but he didn't send them with anything.
How you know? So,
is that because he didn't care about him?
Wait, time out. You said Isaac sent him away
to get a wife. Specifically.
To get a wife.
That was how Rebecca got him out of the land, right?
Right, but the dog, you sat there and you stole the birthright and you stole the blessing from my son. Dog, you the worst.
Yeah, so that's what I guess you're trying
to
say.
Obvious.
That's why he didn't give him nothing.
Yeah, that's obvious, dog. So you the worst.
So it was a total animosity.
Yeah, he's probably like, yo, you connived your way into this. You can connive your way into a wife.
He probably, that's why I said from the very beginning, when you go read that last chapter, it separates them. Okay, it's like Esau's my son, Jacob's your son. You see that division in the family where Isaac probably didn't care for Jacob like Rebecca didn't care for Esau.
So that could reveal a little more about Isaac, right? Because if you're going to get a wife, what do you need?
A dowry.
Right.
You need these things.
No, I agree.
And he's sending him specifically for that, but he sends up with nothing. So that's kind of weird.
Nah, I don't think it's weird. Not for what your son just did. Your son stole the birthright and he stole the blessing.
No, but you know why I think it's even more weird though?
Why?
I do understand where you're coming from in terms of like what he did. Like he stole the blessing.
Yeah.
He was deceptive. But the whole thing is that that he was the son of promise.
Yep.
That God chose this guy.
But we already agreed that Isaac was a man of his belly at this time. The whole reason how he moved, like, remember, we went through all of that.
Yeah.
Like he knew the promise and he was deliberately gonna
go
bless Esau. Dog, this guy he's already there.
But I think with the whole thing though, but with that shaking and trembling, I think he came to the understanding that, God superseded my era.
Right.
And then at the end, he's like, that's when he gave him the whole blessing and all that. Right. So he should have, but he
that's the
sent
thing.
them.
Right.
So whether it was animosity, whether it was him being petty,
right,
yeah. He sent him, yo, you got hands, you got feet, go.
Yeah.
Damn.
Straight up.
Right. So
and I also think too that Rebecca only thought this was going to be a short trip. Remember, because he was going for until his brother wasn't angry.
No, but still,
so if Rebecca knew he was really going for a wife, I'm sure she would have been like, "Yo, you got to take some dowry."
Right.
But Isaac knew that.
That's the thing.
Isaac knew it, but you just said he didn't care about it. But I'm going to the parent who cared,
right? Yeah,
because her reasoning for this whole thing was he's only gonna be gone a couple weeks.
But I think Isaac has to make the decision.
Yeah, he's the head of that household.
She's not gonna supersede him. But I don't know. Maybe he was being petty. Maybe he was,
Man, Jacob wasn't his boy, man. Esau was his boy.
But it's still weird. Like, in order for you to get a wife, you have to. There's this exchange.
He's like your fam. You sit like, and I think we went over.
Maybe he was like, yo, you figure it out.
That's it. Because you always figuring things out anyway, right?
I just said
you a schemer.
He was a conniver.
You was a schemer.
You went into that.
That's why I said, yo, dog, you a schemer. You know how to do it, right? You schemed me.
Right.
And I'm your dad.
He was like, I see your talents.
To get a wife.
So, all right, cool.
But hold on. In addition to that, too, what you're saying about not only is he a schemer, but also that, your brother Esau, he went and bagged himself a couple of Hittites, and he just bagged himself a little Ishmaelite. And
what's wrong with this guy?
Right? He didn't need no dowry from me, and he did it.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah, man, he's old. He was, dull, and he was, so, I don't know. But to me, it looked like a little pettiness.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right, so let's reference this servant, the other story, right, as we go through. So let's read up until 14.
Now, while he was still speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she was a shepherdess. And it came to pass, when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, that Jacob went near and rolled a stone from the well's mouth, and watered the flock of Laban, his mother's brother. Then Jacob kissed Rachel, and lifted up his voice, and wept. And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's relative, and that he was Rebekah's son. So she ran and told her father. And then it came to pass, when Laban heard the report about Jacob his sister's son, that he ran to meet him, and embraced him and kissed him, and brought him to his house. So he told Laban all these things, and Laban said to him, Surely you are my bone and my flesh. And he stayed with him for a month.
Mm-hmm. So, thoughts?
The first thing I see is that how
when the shorty's around, you could do a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
My man was like Samson for a second though. He was like, oh, that's Rachel. Oh, okay, that's the yeah. Nah. Everybody move aside. I got it. He moved the rock by himself. Word up. This is light work. This is light work. Y'all was all what? This is light work. So
he was able to move that rock, right? So the idea is like he was telling these guys, what y'all doing? Y'all just standing here lazy.
Right.
Yo, hurry up, get out. The Rachel's coming, right? And he peeped her, and obviously he understood, right? So now we're seeing God's providence in this whole thing. The same way with the servant. You just so happen to see these guys, and they tell you that they're from the place that you're trying to get to.
Right.
And then in the midst of that, all of a sudden, the same scenes is popping up. All of a sudden, Rachel's coming, right? Whereas before, what was the servant doing? The servant was praying.
Right.
And while he was praying, boom, he saw Rebecca coming, right? So this guy's dealing with people, right, trying to figure things out, and he see Rachel coming.
Right.
So now when Rachel come, he see Rachel.
He starts working.
Yeah,
right? that
love. You get this love at first sight type of thing, and this guy gets some brute strength, and then he moves. Yo, let me.
What song you think he heard? When a Man Loves a Woman? What you think? When a man loves a woman. That's what you think he heard?
That's too soulful.
What you think he... I mean, this guy was a soulful.
Who was it? Was it Haba?
Probably a Chris Brown rock you to sleep.
Oh, man. This guy... Yo, you out of order.
I'm lying. What did he see?
Yo, you right.
She was bad.
Yeah.
So now, what did the servant do?
You see, that's the interesting thing, because the servant, not only was he praying, but he's like, yo, I want to know if it's you, Lord.
He did a test.
He did the test.
For what?
It was a spiritual test. If she does this and this, Lord, then I know that this is the one. Is right to be able to determine the character. Right. While he was going on straight on looks and I'm gonna use my flesh.
So he went on looks.
Yeah.
And he went on emotion. Right.
Right.
Yo, you look bad. You're the relative of my mom. And then what he tried to do? I'm gonna impress her.
Right.
I'm gonna lift this rock.
Right.
I'm gonna impress her. So now we seeing how the servant of Abraham, how he prayed for guidance,
right,
to be led by the Lord, right? That whole trip was framed in prayer, right. And when he met her, and then he did that test to find out the type of woman she is, right? To find out her character, he praised God. Like the whole process was praise. Jacob is totally different. He sees her, he sees how attractive and beautiful she looks, and he's compelled by her physical attraction. He's compelled by the emotion of the whole thing. Oh man, this journey I finally reached. Right. And he tries to impress her with his works.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You guys see that?
Yeah. No.
And plus afterwards he says he lifted up his voice and wept. You remember in Eliezer when Rebecca, watered the camels and all that, he praised God.
Right.
And thanked God immediately. Jacob just started screaming and hollering, yo, I got me a hottie.
Now you think it was that?
Huh?
I think it was like what you said. This dude was like big. Like you said, 500 miles.
Yeah.
I just came from sleeping in the desert on rocks. I mean, he was excited that she was a hottie, but I think it was like, I finally reached this family that,
It was both.
It was both, yeah,
and
definitely.
Listen, you don't have anything to give. You don't have jewelry. You don't have camels. You don't have nothing to give. You're going to have to work.
Yeah.
And we're going to see
how the Lord gets him back.
We're going to see how
the Lord gets him back.
You're going to get this wife.
Yeah. But that's the Lord always understanding. You know what I mean? Because again,
the reciprocity of God, where it says, whatever you sow, that's what you're going to reap.
Yeah. Galatians 6. Yep.
And at the same time, the Lord is using this situation to humble you and break you so that you could be used.
Yeah.
Because the Lord's like, I got to use you, but I can't use you the way you are right now.
Definitely.
Right? And remember, he just encountered God.
Mm-hmm.
All right? All right.
So one quick thing. So she ran and told her father.
So it says Laban got a report. What report you think Laban got?
Yo, this is the family.
What else?
This is the family of Isaac and Rebecca. That this is, that's his sister's.
That's family.
That's family. That's his sister's son. And now remember how when he first met Eliezer with the jewels, the golds, and all the riches.
It's bread. Here comes the bread. Here comes the bread.
So now here comes the family now. Right. So now he's excited, and and I'm thinking when she ran back and told the father, I'm saying, of course, now it was, like kind of painting the scene, doesn't say it, but I'm thinking as she grew up and then when children ask, hey, Dad, do you have any family, relatives? Oh, yeah, my sister Rebecca, yeah, she lives over there. Yeah. And, there was this prince that came, Isaac, and, came with 10 camels, came with gold, came with all that.
You think Rachel was in the same mind frame?
No, listen, I think
she's heard the story.
I don't know if the report was from Rachel. It says, then it came to pass when Laban heard the report about Jacob, his sister's son, that he ran to meet him. So, what's the report?
Right.
What did he hear? So now we already know Laban. How would you describe Laban?
So he's money hungry.
Yeah, he's deceitful. He's a conniver.
Deceitful, conniver.
Yeah, he's about that money.
Greed.
So I was thinking too. Like, do you think he told Rebecca about the blessing that he receives from his dad, the fact that he had the birthright now, like just to show these people.
Oh, you talking about Jacob?
Yeah, when he was speaking to.
I mean, the father told. I think the father.
That's his cousin, right? Rebecca.
Laban would be his uncle.
Yeah, Laban is his uncle.
So that's his cousin.
So Rachel's his cousin.
Right? Yeah, his cousin. Yeah.
So Rachel told her pops, and her pops probably just told.
I don't know if Rachel.
Yeah, it says it. It says, and Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's relative and that he was Rebecca's. So she ran and told her father.
Yeah.
So he
Verse
knows.
12. Right. Yeah. So Rachel ran. It says Rachel ran and told her father. Then it came to pass when Laban heard the report. Oh. So, yeah.
So, again, what's the report that Laban heard? I'm thinking that he heard from those men.
That side of the family.
Those shepherds that was at the well. I think he's getting information from them about what type of guy this is. He's very industrious. He's very strong. This guy, listen, Laban is a crook, and he's greedy. And this guy's not coming in with money.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Last time you got, yo,
I see what you're saying.
I see the jewels. I see
you came with the whole.
I saw the money. Yo, bring him in, right? Yeah. Invite this guy to the house. He went out to meet him after he heard that the servant has a whole bunch of riches.
Right. I see what you're saying.
For Rebecca. Remember?
Yeah. No, I get that.
So now, again, I'm seeing this pattern where Rachel told her pops, but then after that he said he got report. Like, what's this report? I think the report was the event that happened in that area, and like, yo, this guy went all out for Rachel, and I'm just trying to get into the mind frame of Laban, him thinking about how could I benefit off this situation.
What I think happened, I think Jacob he knew he had no money. He was broke. I think he goes up to Rachel and tells her straight up, and anybody else might have been listening, but he told her, listen, I'm that dude. I'm that son of promise. I got the birthright. I got all these blessings. Everything is going to come through me. This is what I offer you. This is what I bring to the table, because we know who he is. He's conniving. So if he had nothing on him, this is what he's trying to bring to the table to tell her family.
I agree with you.
That's a great point.
No, I agree with you. I'm thinking about Laban. What's in it for him?
No, but I think that's the report that he heard was, this guy don't have no money, but wait a minute, he got the birthright. He got all these blessings from God.
You know why?
This dude is that dude.
No, you know why? Because he's automatically like, my sister. Rebecca was his sister, right? Laban's sister. He's like, my sister, I already know the report from that side of the family. Right. That's the side of the family with money.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying is like, you got that side of the family with money. So let's say, even if you my side of the family with money, dog, even if you came to my house with no bags, no nothing, I already know your side.
We
got
know what
the
credit
money.
you got.
So I agree with you, Laban's mind.
Credit.
No, I already. So I agree with you. Laban's mind is working. But I think it's I don't think it's where you was going with like conjure, you know what I mean? But I think it's like, dog, that side of the family got money.
Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you why I see it that way. I understand what you guys are saying, and I agree. Because he already dealt with that side. Right. But the way he reacted after that is different. But let's read on. Anything I think we have 15.
15 right? What, 15 to 30?
Let's go to 20. 15 to 20.
15 to 20. Okay. Then Laban said to Jacob, because you are my relative, should you therefore serve me for nothing? Tell me, what should your wages be? Now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah's eyes were delicate, but Rachel was beautiful of form and appearance. Now Jacob loved Rachel, so he said, I will serve you 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter. And Laban said, it is better that I give her to you than that I should give her to another man. Stay with me. So Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed only a few days to him because of the love he had for her.
Mm-hmm. And the reason I say that, the first thing, this is your relative. This is your sister's son. This is your nephew. And he was like, he looked at him. He brought him into the house as a servant.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I think that's where the plot begins. Right.
So my thing with Laban is, how am I going to benefit from this situation? Before he tried to benefit, because he saw the riches. He saw the money. So he said, come in, right? Yo, let's have a feast. Let's drink. That's when the servant was like, nah, we got to take care of business. After all of that, he even said, yo, let us stay. Let us stay with us. And she'll come back to you guys after a while. Yo, this guy's a crook. And to me, I'm reading it like he's doing whatever he can to benefit.
Right.
When he got the report of what this guy did, as soon as he came, he was like, "Yo, dog, I'm not gonna let you work." He's accepting him into his house as a servant, but this is your nephew.
Right, but my thing is that came after the month. So do you think that...
What do you mean?
Okay, so he's like, stay with me for a month. And it says, and he stayed with him for a month. Mm-hmm. Then Laban said to Jacob, because you are my relative. Okay, here's the scenario. Dog, you're the side of the family with money. You coming over here. You been here a month. Dog, ain't no Eliezer come, ain't no money come, ain't nothing coming.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So now
he was working for the month. That's why he said, "Yo,
he was working for free.
You shouldn't be working for free. What do you want?"
No, he didn't work for the month. He worked after.
Look at what Laban said. Should you therefore serve me for nothing? So this guy came in working, and then Laban is kind of like, "Yo, man, you can't be working. What do you want? What do you want me to give you?"
He's like, "You're my family. I got to give you something."
Okay.
You're
but
working.
Understand how he accepted. Like, I see what you guys are saying.
All right, I see what you're saying.
And if that was the case, I was like, "Oh, yo, you're not coming here to work. You're royalty.
Right.
You're rich. Yo, whatever you want." But he was like, "Nah, I heard the report. You're strong. You're very industrious. You're productive." This is how I'm seeing it. And then it came to the point where, like, yo, you can't, him being sneaky, because I know you want Rachel. I've been peeping you. I know you love her.
Right.
I'm going to manipulate the situation, and I'm going to get more from you.
Right.
So do you think Laban knew anything about, do you think Jacob revealed anything that he did, or did he get report about, you still in the birthright? You think anything that came back to him?
I don't know about that.
You think he had any of that information?
I think Jacob probably said nothing. He probably was asking, "Yo, how's your mom?" He's like, "Yeah, mom is still playing the same family games, chess, and how's your brother Esau? He's fired up. He's like the way he normally. How's your dad? He's kind of checked out.
Right.
He's not really all this. So I think he kept it simple.
I don't know.
What do you think?
I think he
He might have told.
I think you're broke. You're there with nothing. And you're trying to make yourself seem to have some sort of value to this family, even if it was just to get her to marry him. Like, you have to come with something to the table.
Yeah.
So maybe he might not have said specifics as to how he got
the
birthright or how he got blessed. He didn't tell her the story. Yo, me and Mama Dukes, we lied, we geeked up my pops. No, he was like, no, my dad blessed me. He gave me all the blessings. He didn't tell her how. But you can't come to somebody's crib like this and say, "I'm broke. That's all I got. I got nothing but the clothes." He was a conniver, bro.
Yeah.
He was coming.
Who,
I see
Jacob.
Yeah, we know what he was all about.
But I think Laban peeped all of that already. Like, dog, like what Marcus said, dog. You came with nothing, dog.
But that's not what I'm trying to say. Yeah, he came with nothing. But from his point of view, you come into a place like this, you're trying to set, just prove something.
But I'm not going to believe you. Why would I believe you?
Who cares?
Because your pops, when your pops came in, he came in with the 10
It don't matter that he didn't believe him. But you're saying that he didn't attempt to make himself look higher than what he was?
Who, Jacob?
Jacob? When he first appeared to this family? You think he just showed up, "I'm just broke"?
I
got nothing.
What you gonna do? I think he couldn't lie. I think Laban saw the whole deal because of how your pops came. Listen, because of how your pops came, you coming like listen. Your pops, they sent a servant for your pops. Your pops didn't even come here. They sent a servant for your pops. Abraham sent a servant. You came here yourself. The way you reacted when you saw us, like you said, Duke, from the jump, you was working. Like
I think we're getting off the topic because we know what's driving Jacob, Rachel's beauty. We know what's driving him, and we see Laban manipulating and taking advantage of that. That's what we're seeing.
I understand that, but I'm just saying as far as.
But you just say he lifted a rock to what? To do what? He lifted that rock just.
He did it because of her.
Yeah, right.
To impress her.
So you don't think he was trying to impress her with anything else? To say, this is what I have in the bank. This is mine when I go back home to the promised land.
The reason,
and that's what I'm saying. I think Laban saw through that.
It don't matter if he saw through. All I'm saying is he presented that.
Okay.
Here's I'm seeing what he did. Right. This guy traveled 500 miles with nothing. He probably looked like a vagabond.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? And so now
I agree with that.
Again, him being cunning, him being a quick thinker, he knows, right? And him not getting guidance from God. That's the big difference. We're at another well. We're dealing with finding a spouse. He doesn't pray. He doesn't do anything.
Right.
So now you work, right? And him being led by his the physical appearance, his eyes, not knowing anything about her character or what type of woman she is. None of that mattered, right? So he lifted the rock, and that report went back to the father. So when I look at Jacob, what's driving you is this love, right? This love at first sight. That's what's driving you. Whether he told, listen, this guy could have been like, yo, I'm the man. I don't need to work 7 years. I don't need to do all these things. But he didn't say that.
Nah, he didn't say that, dog.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's how I see it.
And the reason I think he couldn't use that, because you came with nothing. That's why I'm like, listen, Laban, you cut from that cloth of the family, that scheme. You can't scheme a schemer. That's why Laban is like, the way your pops came, your pops didn't even come here. A servant got sent with him with Bentleys and jewelry. You come in here with your bare hands, your bare feet. You've been traveling, you smelling like the road. You can't tell me nothing, dog. And then on top of that, you don't think he already knew that? Like you said, if Jacob didn't reveal that he connived his brother and all of that, dog, why would you go into the whole birthright? Because you're the youngest.
But I don't know if that even matters.
What do you mean that even matters?
Like, just the character of these men. His character is to benefit because he's greedy. And it says, so the weird thing when I'm reading, it says Rachel told her pops, oh, I just met this guy, da-da-da. And then later on, he said he got a report. What was this report? I think this report was based on this guy. And then how could I use this guy? You don't care about that he's your nephew and he's family. You should have let him stay for free. You should have, you're here. Matter of fact, here's money. What you need. This is family. But Laban is not that type of dude. Laban is going to benefit, and he's going to manipulate the situation so that he could benefit, and it happens throughout the whole story.
Right.
That's why he was like, yo, you've been here for a month working? Yo, man, how could he probably felt a little bad. You know what I'm saying?
No, I mean, I agree
and then
with
he
all
was
that.
like, all right, what do you want?
I don't disagree.
Because he know exactly what you want. I know you want Rachel.
No, I agree maybe that, but he wasn't wrong because you're coming... You do want my daughter, and you coming with nothing. When your pops came with everything, dog. Like, Jacob, you don't have no room for negotiation, dog. Right. That's why I keep saying it's like, the way Isaac came, he was there. He know that. That's why it's like, you coming with your bare hands and your bare feet. Of course you're going to work. And I think that was just right of Jacob to work. You coming here with nothing. You can't. I think Jacob wanted to work. You know what I'm saying? Like, dog, I came here with nothing. I don't got nothing. I'm not going to just sit here and eat and sleep under your roof for nothing. Nah, I'm going to work. But
so you think he was supposed to do all that?
I believe him coming there. I don't believe he was supposed to do that, but I believe that, like, him being the man he was and just, like, custom, dog, I'm coming over there. I'm just not going to, I am useful. Let me get up and think. And I think Laban being scheming and all of that, he's like, dog, I'm going to scheme you. But I don't think this is out of the ordinary. You know what I'm saying? Like, dog, you come here with your hands and your feet. Fam, you stay here a month, work. And I think while he was there, like you said, he looking at him, he's like, yo, B, let me pay you. And then it's like, all right, now, I think that's where the plot begins. Where he's like, all right, you know what I'm saying?
That's opposite to the custom that we read before. Right. Like, when you have a visitor coming in, you pull out all the stops. And you welcome them in, right. And you protect them,
and that's why I think Jacob willfully will work. I don't think Laban. Like, I think because from when he first sees it, he moves the rock. Nobody tells him to move the rock when it's time, because he wanted to impress Rachel.
Right, but Laban didn't accept him into his household customarily. He accepted him as a servant.
Nah, he said, you my family. He kissed him. He said, you my family. But we realized while he was there, he was working. But he didn't come in here and say, you're going to work.
My thing is, why, when usually if a visitor come into your house, you pull out all the stops for them. And that's your nephew. That's why I'm saying it's weird.
You know what I think? I think Jacob was trying to impress Rachel, like you said. I think that's why he worked.
I don't think it says that he worked. those 30 days, the first month, right?
Nah, it did because he said, "Why should you work?"
It said, "No. Now, after you get a visitor who stays in your crib for a while. There comes a certain point where you're like, all right, you've been here long enough, freeloaded. Let's do this." How you now? I think because he offered him. He said, "Stay with me a month."
Right.
It doesn't say stay with me a month and work. So it could also be that he stood with him for a month and he said, all right, now let's figure out what you are going to be doing while you're here. And then that's when,
No, but the verse 15 lets you know that he was
verse
working.
15.
Yeah, verse 15 lets you know that he was
weird.
working.
Why does he say
Then Laban
that?
said to Jacob, because you're my relative, should you therefore serve me for nothing?
It's a question.
Right.
It's kind of like...
Because I'm saying...
No, but Jacob didn't say. It's like he's saying this.
Right.
So the picture I
he's
got
the
is
owner
like
of the house, right?
Right. The picture I got is like this guy's been working since he's been there, right? And then Laban kind of come and be like, "Yo, we're family, right? What could I give you since you've been doing all this work? Should you be working and for nothing?"
See, but I see that, but I also see it where I think now he's like, all right, if you start working now, what am I going to pay you? You know what I mean?
It's weird that he asked the question.
Yeah, that's the only reason.
That's the reason I say that.
Yeah.
He asked the question like, "Yo, should you be doing this for nothing? What do you want?" Because he understood that he wanted Rachel, and he's setting him up.
I think
to have him work some
I think
more.
Jacob, because when he first get there, that's what he does. He works.
All right, let's move on because we're gonna see it more towards the end of the story. Let's
20 to 21.
You could finish it.
30.
Wait. So what was
21 to 30.
So who's the two daughters?
Oh yeah, that's right. Leah. They said she had what was it? What type of eyes was it? Delicate.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you could look at that two ways, right? Because just commentary said delicate. It could be maybe that just her eyes were attractive, or I see delicate as weak. So maybe she had like a droopy eyelid or something like that.
Lazy eye,
like a lazy eye,
cross-eyed.
Obviously, I guess they're trying to get the point across that she wasn't attractive, right?
Yeah. And one of the other commentaries mentioned that it could mean when you said like in terms of the attractive, like she might have had light eyes, like she might have had either like blue or hazel, as compared to the typical from that culture, Eastern culture, having dark brown, rich eyes. So that was considered more beautiful to have dark eyes as opposed to lighter eyes because that was out of the ordinary. Right. So I mean that's one of the other commentaries mentioned that. So you get different point of views. And that's a good point to mention because like in terms of like we're gonna see as it progressed the character because you remember how they mentioned Rachel now she's hot but she's also a woman, she's a shepherdess. She likes the fields.
Leah was regular degular.
Yeah,
she wasn't pleasant on the eyes.
So maybe he was a shepherd, she's a shepherdess. They had something in common.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Who? We'll see.
Rachel.
We'll see.
I mean, listen, he didn't know any of that.
Yeah, he
saw her.
He just saw her.
And
with the sheep.
He saw her with the sheep. And the dudes told her she's a shepherd.
Rebecca was with the sheep. She was just going to feed.
Wait.
No, you're talking about Rachel.
Nah, Rachel.
Rachel we're talking about, right?
Yeah, we're talking about Rachel.
But both scenarios are the same.
But
the thing is,
Rebecca was just watering something, right? She wasn't
she was watering the animals.
Yeah, watering them.
Oh no, you're right.
I think that's different than being a shepherdess.
But I think the picture is one was beautiful.
Yeah,
the other one was not.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
That's the point, right? One was beautiful in shape and facial features. Like she was bad, and her sister wasn't bad.
Remember, she just been regular.
She was just regular.
Why they don't never describe the guys? Isaac could have been ugly. Jacob could have been ugly. Because what?
I don't think the
women matter.
The women don't move right like that. Like women and men are different.
Right. So men is off of beauty and women is off of what? Resources. Because I mean, the whole thing with Isaac was his resources.
Right.
Listen, the women back then didn't have a choice. You think they had a choice?
So
you
let's
think Rachel and Leah had a choice?
Let's make arranged marriages great again.
Yeah,
because you don't see Rachel nowhere. It's just straight Laban and Jacob dealing. Rachel don't even have a say.
Women back then didn't have a say. So, but the idea is she was bad, right? And we're seeing what kind of drove Jacob, right? So now, where we at? 21?
21 to 30.
Yeah.
Then Jacob said to Laban, "Give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go into her. And Laban gathered together all the men of the place, and made a feast. Now it came to pass in the evening, that he took Leah his daughter, and brought her to Jacob, and he went into her. And Laban gave his maid Zilpah to his daughter Leah as a maid. So it came to pass in the morning, that, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, What is this you have done to me? Was it not for Rachel that I served you? Why then have you deceived me? And Laban said, It must not be done so in our country, to give the younger before the firstborn. Fulfill her week, and we will give you this one also for the service which you will serve with me still another 7 years. Then Jacob did so, and fulfilled her week. So he gave him his daughter Rachel as wife also. And Laban gave his maid Bilhah to his daughter Rachel as a maid. Then Jacob also went into Rachel, and he also loved Rachel more than Leah, and he served with Laban still another 7 years.
Poor Jacob.
So,
you feel sorry for him?
So, absolutely not.
Why not?
So, where does it say the 7 years flew by?
Oh, where it says 7 years felt like a couple days when he was working for Rachel?
Verse 20. Verse 20.
Verse 20, it says, so Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, right? And they seem only a few days to him because of the love he had for her. You see that this love that he had for Rachel made the time unnoticeable, like it was a few days. Mm-hmm. And I think about
what his mother said.
No, I think about that's how we should feel in ministry, right? Because of the love of God. However long you're in your ministry, it should feel like days, right? Whether you're in there for 7 years or just that love is what drove him to get up every morning and work for 7 years is a long time.
Yeah. And
you're seeing her, you can't touch her, you know what I'm saying? But it's trying to show you how much love he had for her. Yeah. And I'm thinking, was this
carnal?
Superficial, right?
Was it carnal?
Because the way it describes her, like it's on. We don't know anything about her. We don't know anything about her character yet.
Right.
But
I don't think it mattered. Though.
That's the driving force.
I don't think it mattered.
Yeah, I think. I don't think it mattered, and I think this is a great point that is screaming out to men. Like
up.
if a woman's looking for a man,
right up.
He better be a hard worker. You know, he has to be industrious, and he's willing to sacrifice.
Yep.
For that love, you know, as we see, like, you know, and that's one of the biggest problems that we see in the culture today, where there is no such thing as true love, because he was able to sacrifice 7 years because he wanted her. That's that self-sacrificial love, because he could have said, nah, I'm not gonna do that, but he was willing to sacrifice and not touch her.
Yep.
Right. Not smash.
Word up.
And wait until marriage. Because if a man is not willing to wait until marriage, he's screaming at you that you're not important. You're only good enough to get in bed.
Yes,
you're
sir.
not good enough for marriage.
And I think
that's important. Yeah.
I think that's why I said, like, that represent like his character.
Yeah.
Like Duke was really ready. That's how much he loved her. That he's like, yo, B, I'm ready. He worked 14 years for her because he got duped. You know what I mean? Yeah. He waited 7. He got her, but then he had to work another 7 after he got her. So he worked 14 years for this woman. And then just to think about Rachel, like, she waited 7 years for this guy. So you could just imagine that 7 years of him working for her, just that courtship.
Yeah.
You know, just that he's growing in love. Like I agree with you. It could have been carnally driven.
Right.
But I'm just seeing it as, you know, like Ralph said. Like, this was a man that's how much he loved this woman, that he was willing to wait and he was willing to work for her.
So you guys see this as a good example of courtship and
No, you know what I was going to say? Not? I don't.
You know, I see, because I'm comparing it to the other one.
I was going to say, you see 2 love stories, right?
Yeah.
The first one with, you know, Isaac and Rebecca, when you see when you're doing it in God's perfect will, when Eleazar got to the well, God did all the work.
Guided by God.
Guided by God. Yeah. To, you know, having you know, what's her name? Rebecca. Mm-hmm. Do all the work and answer that prayer that he had made. But when we do it in our own will, when we're outside of God's will and we're doing it in our own flesh, this dude wound up working 14 hard years.
Yeah.
to get his wife.
I totally agree with you.
I'm not disagreeing with the character that are good characters, being a hard worker. Of course, those are good qualities as every man should have.
Yeah, that's what
this story, this love boy means girl story, nah.
No, yeah, I totally agree with that. Right. This was totally done in the flesh and the wrong.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I'm in combination of what with Rebecca in terms of allowing God, the divine appointment of God working through this out, and then having the character that Jacob presented in terms of the working. Because I wanted to bring more so the point of, like, for women to be able to differentiate between what you have like that agape love and that eros love, you know, where the things that it looked like it was just eros love in terms of that's the romantic love, right? But the whole thing is that romantic love, that eros love will not wait. It's like, give me that right now. Right. You know, it doesn't wait.
That's what we're saying.
But that agape love, it will wait because it's about, like, I want to please you. I'm going to, you know, I want to unselfishly please you.
Right.
And the biggest problem we have now with marriages and divorces is because of selfishness. That's the main driving thing.
So you
selfishness.
So you're saying this is a picture of like a agape love.
This is a picture. But I mean, what he did, I totally agree with you. What he was doing was totally in the flesh.
Compared to the other story, we're seeing it God's will, thing will. But as far as the, you know, what was happening here, a man willing to work 14 years for a woman, dog, it says a lot about how he felt about the woman.
Yeah, I think it was love at first sight.
And he was willing to, he was willing to work and wait. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. We're not comparing it to the other story. We're comparing it to now. How men move now. How men move now according to marriage is like, nah, I'm not going to wait so that we can smash. Nah, we need to smash now. Matter of fact, we need to live together. We need to smash now before I even marry you. Right. That's what we're comparing it to. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
No. I agree 100% with that. But I'm just like what Marcus was saying.
We back together.
We got the overview is when you do it in God's will and when you do it outside of God's will.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Then you struggle. Then there's heartbreak. Then there's lies. And there's deceit.
Right.
No, that's the big picture. Yeah, but when you go microscopically into his specific relationship with her, I think he saw her. It was love at first sight. And I think immediately he knew I would work as long as I have to be with this girl.
And honestly, I think it was physical. I think it was surface.
I mean, think about it, though. These chicks are wearing clothes covering everything. So when he first saw her, the only thing
she was beautiful, though.
Yeah, her face.
Right.
It also speaks about her form.
It does, but back then the form was covered up.
I mean,
but again,
it points it out that she was beautiful, and that was the driving force. Like, compared to the other story,
but that's what I think. I think it was more facial beauty, and I don't know. I don't think he saw her and was like, "Oh, I want to smash."
So now the deal is, I'm gonna work 7 years. He works the 7 years. Now it's the wedding feast, right?
So do you think Leah didn't know nothing about it? You think Laban just straight, he's supposed to marry you? Because she had to go along with it too. Like,
she probably had no choice.
But that's what I'm saying. Do you think Leah knew that Jacob was doing all of this for Rachel?
Yeah, 7 years,
of
course.
So it was totally just
he paid her
against her will? Or do you think Leah was down with it too?
The pops is like, yo, what are you doing? No, sit down.
Yeah,
you have no rights. You have no... you have no voice. You understand? The women back then had no voice.
Right.
And so...
That's why I'm seeing, like, what Leah didn't say one thing.
Yeah, it's quiet.
She loved it.
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
She was like, I'm about to get married.
That's what I'm saying.
I think
she's like...
That's what
I was like, yo, she's about to get married. She's like, I'm with it. But what I'm thinking is like,
yo, talking about Leah or Rachel?
No, Leah.
And I'm like, yo, where's Rachel at? At some point during this feast, she knew that the pops wasn't going to put her in the tent. Like, yo, how come nobody's dressing me up to get ready to go meet my husband?
It's like what Laban said. The younger, he said this is part of.
No, but then that if that's the truth, then you're saying that Rachel was down with this. She knew her pop's plan.
I don't think she
I don't think she knew her pop's plan.
No, you don't think?
I think it was switched up last minute. But even at that point, if I'm Rachel, I'm running to my man because she loved him too for those 7 years.
But she knew the customs that the oldest supposed to go.
Who knew that wasn't something he just made up? He's a conniver.
No. Here.
If those were customs, you would think in 7 years, somebody would have been like, yo, you didn't hear about the customs in this land?
But guys, Laban is the master of the household. Nobody's gonna usurp his authority, especially not his daughters.
No, I get that.
So we don't hear anything from Leah. We don't hear anything from Rachel. They're quiet in the whole story. We see Laban orchestrating this whole thing.
But the thing is that there still could be an option. It could be two sides to the coin. Because in terms of like, it could totally be like you're saying, where he's a master. You're not going to say nothing. Shut your mouth. I run the show. This is the type of culture, right? Or it could have been that, listen, like you said, Leah watched this dude work hard. She's like, I want a man like this, and I'm going to go along with this plan. Because I want to get married and get up out of this joint.
I don't know.
And what you call it? And Rachel could have been like, she was like, I wanted my man. And somebody said, yo, shut down. And we're going to lock you up in a room and wait for this joint to be over. You know what I'm saying? And shut her mouth.
So
there's a possibility. And the only reason I'm saying that, though, because it's what we see later in terms of like the relationship with the daughter with them. Right? You know what I'm saying? So you have to see that they did not have a relationship.
Yeah. Listen, we see that we saw that with Abraham, Sarah, right. And listen, that whole atmosphere of polygamy is always going to have problems, and that's what the scripture always says. So regardless if it was both, whatever. Right. But I think we're seeing. When I look at it, I'm because they're silent on what the women are saying because they have no voice in this story.
No, but that's the thing. They could have no voice, or she was totally down.
In the story, they have no voice. But in the story, it's highlighting Laban manipulating the whole situation. Right? So what happened? What do we know about Jacob? Dog, you was fighting these traditions of the elder being first. Right. You was fighting that from birth. Yep. Now it's coming back to you. That's what we're seeing. Right. That's the point of the story. Right here. Yeah. Now the tables is being flipped on Jacob, and you have no power. Right. Yeah. So now Laban is coming to you like, yo, this is tradition. The firstborn.
And that's why he's silent.
She goes first.
Divine retribution.
So now you thinking about what you did to your brother. And you even thinking about from birth. He was coming out first. You grabbed his ankle. That's why they called you Jacob, the heel snatcher. Right. So that's the point of the story. This reciprocity coming to Jacob now. Whether the feelings of the women, I don't know.
Right? We don't. Yeah, and one of the things that even from the beginning, even from the whole idea of him saying, "Yo, what you gonna? I don't. You're not gonna just stay here for a month. What should I give you?" That right there was a plot in terms of let's bargain the same way he bargained for the birthright. So that was the beginning of the bargain.
That's it.
Right? So he bargained with him. Because if he said a number that's too low, I'm only going to work for a month, he's like, yo, bounce, get up out of here. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to give you nothing. He heard 7 years. All right, I could work with that.
And I know how you look at my daughter.
Right. I know how you look at my daughter. And
so
then
the usurper is getting usurped.
Right. And then the whole thing is like the whole wedding night. Come on, like.
That's why I think Rachel and Leah, man. Because y'all knew the customs.
The dressing. The dressing.
Y'all knew the customs. Rachel, you knew you wasn't supposed to go first. But this dude, listen, you knew you wasn't supposed to be the first one married. He's over here. He's working for you for 7 years. And then the switcheroo happened. Nah. That's why I agree with Marcus. That's why I don't feel sorry for Jacob because
we don't feel bad for him.
Listen, exactly what you did to your brother is happening to you. And the thing is, I think you thought you could get away with it again. You knew it was supposed to be Leah first, and that's why Laban hit you with and Laban probably led you on, like, yeah, I'm gonna give you Rachel.
Laban is in total control.
And then switch you up.
Jacob, a person that likes to be in control. We even saw you trying to control the situation when you had the dream.
Yeah. Right.
When God spoke to you, you trying to call, this whole scene right here, Laban is in total control.
But that's why I said the way he did it, you let him on. Because he did work 7 years.
He did say, you'll get her.
That's what I said.
So the switch up came last minute.
That's what I'm saying.
But the reason I'm saying, like, the women had no voice. He could have been like, yo, Rachel, what you doing? Man. Yo, Leah, go get dressed, cover up. You're going to go into the tent.
That's what I think
That's happened. What I think happened.
I don't think Rachel was in on it.
So now, you're going to, did Jacob know in terms of, like, what about the voice? The voice, I understand she's covered up. It was dark. He's tipsy.
He was drunk.
He's on liquor.
The same way your pops was in the dark.
Dark.
He was dull. You finished partying, celebrating, drinking. Now you're in the dark. You don't
Right.
Yo, dog, it's the same thing that you did. It's coming right back at you, and you have absolutely zero control.
And Isaac was drunk too. Like didn't
exactly.
he? Right.
Yeah,
he hit him with the
when
he hit
wine.
No, he hit it. I think it says it hit him with the stew, and he hit him with the wine.
Yeah.
So it was the same. And I think that's what, like you said, I think Laban, that was the plot. Because as soon as he said, "Yo, let me I'm gonna do the whole thing with Rachel," he's like, "Oh, let me throw a feast." Like he doesn't.
No, that was a wedding feast.
Right. It was a wedding feast, but like he understood the whole situation. Like, dog, you're gonna get drunk, you're gonna get roasted. I'll get you drunk, I'll get you roasted, and I could do the switcheroo, like you said.
Right. And at any moment, Leah could have whispered in his ear, like, "It's not me."
That's why I'm telling you, dog, Leah. All right, let me stop.
But you know this is awesome.
Leah knew what was going on. She wanted to get married. She was busted.
Who would not want to get married?
And that's why Leah was like, "I'm busted."
Yeah,
Leah
wanted.
This is my one shot.
Leah was in on it, 100%.
I
think
agree.
so.
She knew what tent she was dragged into.
Okay, let's say she wasn't in on it.
I don't think Rachel was in on it.
Let's say she wasn't in on it. Do you think she had a choice?
No, of course not.
All right.
No,
that's what I'm saying.
I don't think so. But
you got to listen to what your pops are saying, or
she wasn't complaining about the situation.
And I think
fling rocks.
And I think that's why they described her as you're not so good looking. You know what I mean?
Because they knew you're never gonna get married,
and that's why she was like, "Yo, Laban, you gonna throw me in there? I'll take it." All right, let's go.
So what else? Where we at?
31.
So
31 to the end.
31 to 35.
There's more.
Yeah. So when the Lord, what should I start?
No, go ahead.
When the Lord saw that Leah was unloved, He opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. So Leah conceived and bore a son, and she called his name Reuben, for she said, "The Lord has surely looked on my affliction. Now therefore my husband will love me." Then she conceived again and bore a son, and said, "Because the Lord has heard that I am unloved, He has therefore given me this son also." And she called his name Simeon. She conceived again and bore a son, and said, "Now this time my husband will become attached to me, because I have borne him 3 sons. Therefore his name was called Levi. And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, "Now I will praise the Lord." Therefore she called his name Judah. Then she stopped bearing.
Yo, man, I feel bad for Leah.
Why?
Because she was a buster. And then after
she
got
got
married,
a husband and she had kids.
Nah, Jacob,
the Lord blessed
what does
her.
it say? She was unloved.
Nah, you're right. I agree.
It says she was unloved.
Yeah,
I feel the same way for her, but it's not Jacob's fault.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not his fault.
Well, he
got deceived into being with someone that he
but you're in the
did not
situation now.
You're in that. Don't matter. Your heart is for somebody
but
who's
it's a person.
living right next to you.
But why
in the next
not
building.
love her?
That's a person, though. B.
It's a person.
No, I get that. But if he fell in love with,
so you're saying his treatment to her was justified?
No, there's not saying. Nowhere in here did it say he treated her bad.
Yes.
No. He was unloved.
Just because he didn't love her doesn't mean he didn't treat her bad.
Let's not go down.
Ange, read what she's saying every time she has a child. Yeah. What's her hope when she has a child?
That her husband would love her.
Damn. Yo, imagine. Listen,
bro.
Ange, imagine the feeling of a woman in a relationship, right? Something that we was talking about, and the husband is not. What does Jesus say? Husbands,
love your wives.
Love your wives.
Yeah,
so if she's not getting that, that's killing her.
I get that.
I'm not saying he's smacking her. I'm not saying he's smacking her.
Point of view,
right?
But you can't blame the dude who had no. He had. It wasn't his choice to marry this woman.
I agree
so this
with
is
you.
some. He was currently in love with someone else.
I agree, but you're in the situation. What are you gonna do?
That don't matter. It don't matter.
Holy smokes!
He was fulfilling his husbandly duties. He was being with her. He provided her with sons.
What's his husbandly duties?
He was providing her with children.
Isn't loving your wife part of your husband?
I mean, that's New Testament. So what I'm saying here, that's New Testament. That's Ephesians.
That's New Testament.
That's New Testament.
New God.
I'm saying right here.
That's new God.
No, all I'm saying is, bro.
That's new God.
Leave my boy. Listen, I feel bad for her, but part of me felt.
I see what you're saying.
But part of me felt bad for him a little bit because he was thrust into a relationship that he did not love her,
guys,
bro.
Guys, listen. When we being led by our flesh, when we're trying to engineer something and we end up in a situation that we didn't want, guess what? You still have to make right by that situation.
Yeah.
Right? You have. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So and the reason I feel bad for her because she had 4 kids, and the Lord is like, you know what? He's not loving you. I'm gonna love you, and I'm gonna show you that I love you. Yeah. And He opened up her womb, and who came out of her? Who came out of her?
The most important.
Most important child,
right.
Judah
and Levi.
David, right? So now we're talking about the priesthood, the Levitical priesthood came out of her.
Yeah.
And the kingly tribe.
Yeah.
So that's the Lord saying,
what's so
you know
dope
what?
for the women too to see is that it took her 4 children.
And she was the buster.
It took her 4 children to finally praise God. Her first 3 children, she was looking for a man to complete her. It wasn't until the 4th time where she said, "Now I will praise God." So
because you know why?
No, but what I'm saying,
he was unloving her so much.
I get that, but what I'm
like,
saying is, as women stop looking for dudes to complete you. You know what I'm saying? Stop looking for dudes to give you what only God can, and focus on praising God immediately.
Boom.
And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But she was married, dog.
So.
But he
plenty
got
of women out there.
B.
It wasn't.
But you know
it wasn't a fair fight, bro.
But you know what?
It was like, he got put in a situation he didn't want to be in.
But you know what? But you know what's the crazy thing though? Leah was his rightful wife,
right?
And not Rachel.
See,
because the thing is that when you go later on, you see who she was buried. It was like Abraham and Sarah, Isaac, Rebecca, and Jacob and Leah.
Right. I get that.
The Lord co-signs it.
So the Lord co-signs this marriage,
bro. I'm not saying it wasn't a legit
and not only
marriage.
that, and you remember when I was saying, yo, remember what in terms of like their characters, the characteristics, how Rachel was the shepherdess. She was out in the field, while Leah, plain chick, dwelling in the tents. So here comes Jacob chasing after a woman that's similar to his brother. To his
opposites attract.
I like
that. We might be playing the edge right now.
I like that one.
Opposites attract.
Nah, that was dope. That was dope.
Nah, that's actually good.
That was a dope. That was.
You know what I'm saying?
But, I mean, does it say that Leah was in the tents? Does it say that?
It doesn't say.
It just says she was busted.
I mean, she could have been a shepherdess
if you busted,
somewhere else.
You don't come outside when you. I'm saying
you gotta stay in the tent.
Nah, I'm saying that because I'm busted. That's why I stay inside.
So you can't clean that up. Damn, how you call? You tell that ugly women to stay inside the house?
No, I'm not talking about ugly women. I'm talking about ugly people. And I'm ugly. I'm king ugly, dog. Yo, dog, I'm king ugly. That's how I know how ugly people is.
You was talking in the feminine.
Yo, y'all don't know.
Yo, y'all crazy, bro.
Nah, but listen, man.
Nah, but she was unloved, man.
She was unloved.
That unloved, that's
I feel
hard.
bad for her.
And the way the scriptures pointed that out, and her cries after each child, with her hoping that she would receive something from her husband, but she received it from God, and He blessed her through childbearing, and through her, right, we have the kingly line that Jesus came from. Jesus is from the tribe of Judah, and we have the royal priesthood, which, you know, was before Christ, obviously, that ministry that was the in between God and the nation of Israel, like two of the top important tribes, right? In terms of ministry.
Because you see throughout this whole verse, I mean this whole chapter, you don't see God. You seeing Laban manipulate. You see Jacob. You seeing all these characters, and then when Leah is unloved, that's when you see God appears.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But he's watching them do all of this. He's watching Jacob trying to maneuver, Laban trying to maneuver.
Right.
But then when he sees, you know, Leah, just her heart, how she's just not loved by her husband. She's in this situation. She just want to be loved. You see God steps up and God appears, and you know,
man, she just want to be loved,
and it's a beautiful thing.
I feel bad for her, bro. I do.
Not bad enough, because you're like,
all I'm saying is you can't blame the dude who doesn't love her, because he got tricked into being in that relationship. So I feel bad for both of them in a way.
So
I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad.
You don't feel bad for Jacob. You don't feel bad that he got tricked. That he worked 7 hard years for one goal, and then was lied to, and had to work another 7 on top of that.
Because he's a thief.
Okay, but let's say it was a regular dude. Let's say it was me. Would you feel bad for me for working for 7?
I would have been like, damn, that's messed up, Ange.
Yeah.
No, talking about
love your wife.
Love your wife.
Did you get drunk on the wedding night? Nah, I don't feel bad.
Where you should have opened up the veil. Let me make sure.
You know what? When I do finally get married, I'm gonna make sure I do that.
Rachel probably came, right? And he was like,
"Yo, you a little whiter than
that's what I was saying. I was like, yo, she had to have a similar form to her sister.
You think she looked like Rasputia?
Her form was similar because he didn't notice.
You think
she wasn't a big girl.
You think that was Rasputia?
She was big boned.
No, she wasn't. How we know that?
Nah,
you think it was Shanae?
Nah, I think they had to have been very similar.
Similar
it had to be
in form.
Yeah, similar in form.
You think it was
might have
Wanda?
been very slight differences, but I think they look very similar.
I've never been drunk, but I think you could tell the difference between a 300-pound and a $120.
Yeah,
She probably wasn't 300.
You think that was Wanda?
I don't think. You think they had any 300-pound people back then?
Nah, I don't think they had.
They was eating healthy. They was working.
They were working.
It wasn't sitting down.
So they were drinking a lot, though.
At that feast, yeah.
Everywhere they drank a lot. Come on, that's all they did back then.
But he got roasted.
But it was good wine.
No, they got roasted, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
that's how we
it was
couldn't
good
tell.
wine.
There were no preservatives.
Yeah, B. Everything was fresh. Everything was pure.
You know
But
what
all
I'm
right,
saying?
let's wrap it up, man.
All right.
Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you so much for this episode. We thank you for this, your word, and just being with us and allowing us to digest it, Lord. And so we speak to those who are listening. We ask you, Lord, that your Spirit would fill them, that you would also give them the ability, the courage, Lord, to do the same thing, Lord, and get Bible studies out there in their immediate circles, Lord, and that you may be glorified in it, but that they would continue to grow as individuals, as Christians, Lord, as brothers and sisters. And we pray for those out there that are lonely, Lord, whether they're in relationships or whether they're single, they're married, whatever it is, Lord. We ask, Father, that you would come into their hearts, Lord, and that you would, fulfill them, that they would be complete in your love, Father, that they would never feel the same again because they know that you are with them, that you will always be with them and always love them, Father. So we thank you for those individuals who are watching, and we thank you for everyone, Lord, that has prayed for this ministry. We ask that you would continue to pray for this ministry, that the Lord would continue to use it. So we thank you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.